On today's show, we go on the local scene to the Pembroke High School Art Show, sit down with Bob Harris, hear original poetry from Miriam O'Neill, Joyce Wilson, and Jen Pipp, and get a short, just the facts update on Duxbury town government.
And if you're looking to learn or just have some fun, we'll be also talking about classes, programs, and upcoming things to do in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, and Duxbury.
We're glad you're here. Let's get started. The annual Pembroke High School Art Show is a testament to countless hours of creative expression and a chance to step into the unique perspectives of these talented high school students. We went on the local scene to talk to some of the artists.
My artwork was all created in the program Maya. Through this past year, I've been working that software to better my skills and create some interesting artworks. One of my main artworks from this year is the atrium work, where I recreated the atrium of the school. So Mrs. Lazarus had asked me if I wanted to do anything related to the school, and I thought the atrium would be a great idea since it's one of the main spaces everyone sees. And so I spent the majority of the year working on that and kind of perfecting the space. Maya and music and all forms of art are really just a great way to express myself.
Well, majority of my artwork is photography. I'm going to SCAD for photography, so that's been the main part of my life for the past 5 years. Really, my art is just, I want people to put some kind of meaning behind it. I like to put some kind of emotion behind majority of the pictures, so then whoever is viewing it can try and feel that emotion and then can try and put something behind it.
By collecting these small things that are important to me, like the everyday objects, everyday experiences, can I kind of stop being regretful about things that I kind of passed by? Like, I don't want to live feeling that kind of, I wish I had taken advantage of it. I wish I savored it when I had it. So all of my pieces, at least this year, have been what small things will I miss that I might not have noticed I would have missed. All the little things that I won't be able to take with me. Kind of, I don't want to bottle them up.
So I mainly use programs like Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint. I also like making ceramic art for characters. I like to take a part of myself and put it in my characters. So a lot of my characters are a part of me in some way. It's just a way to express creativity and get your emotions out if you don't exactly know how to put it into words, which is helpful.
So the whole AP thing was about, we had to have a certain idea, and my whole idea was about angels and the concept of humanity in angels and representing life through non-human beings. My whole family is artists. I grew up surrounded by art, and my whole family taught me how to draw, how to paint. It was basically just my entire life, and then I guess I just never stopped. It just kind of became a part of me, and there's really nothing else I'd rather do with my life. I'm going to school for it, to mass art and everything. Thanks, Opa! Love you.
A composer and podcaster with an immense love of his adopted hometown of Plymouth, Massachusetts, Bob Harris sat down with Tiff Phillips.
I discovered my love of music pretty early on. Music was always playing in the house as I was a kid, and we lived in an apartment building, and my aunt had a piano in her apartment. They lived downstairs from us, and I would always go down and just play, listening to music, trying to make the sounds that I heard on the radio. So I started playing the piano. My parents, they started me with piano lessons at a young age, but I was totally undisciplined and couldn't really stick with it. And they started me at age 7, which could have been a bit too young for a kid like me, who wanted to be out and playing all the time with his friends. But I continued on and discovered that I had some aptitude in or about the 6th grade. when we took a test to discover whether or not we could actually qualify to play in the junior high school orchestra. And I more than exceeded expectations and went on to play trumpet. And by the time I was in 8th grade, I was fully fledged. I played first trumpet in the trumpet section. I really discovered that music was my passion. So I was sitting there, and they put on the stand the music, a watered-down version of the Triumphal March from Aida, which is it's just a beautiful trumpet solo at the beginning. And I got to play that trumpet solo, and I heard my voice in and amongst all of the instruments in the orchestra, the strings, the other brass instruments, the percussion. And I said, this is home for me. This is where I'm going to live the rest of my life. I developed a love of Plymouth when my wife and I discovered that she was a Mayflower descendant. And we had a call to Plymouth and everything about Plymouth. And we lived in a town in north central Massachusetts at the time called Royalston. And but on one weekend, we traveled to Maine, and we hit upon a cemetery there in, forget the town, Freiburg. We hit upon a cemetery, and we knew that one of her great-grandfathers was buried there, a man named Ivory Fogg Snow. And you think of Ivory Snow as like a soap detergent, but Ivory Fogg Snow was someone who fought in the Civil War, and she was sort of interested in that. We went to the local library in Freiburg and read through some material on him and discovered that he was a Mayflower descendant. So that took us to the path to Plymouth. Okay, long story short, we made a decision that when we retired, we would come and live in Plymouth. And unfortunately, she passed before that happened. But I came to Plymouth, and I had a new partner at the time, and we both loved it here, made our home here. And then we sort of discovered the beauty of Plymouth and how not only the Plymouth Harbor and the seacoast and the beaches, but the cranberry bogs. And that walking the cranberry bogs and being in the Pine Barrens inspired me to do my first album, which was, I entitled it Plymouth on My Mind. And it really is an homage to some of the beauty, the natural beauty, and the cultural history of what Plymouth is all about. And it's now become my home and a love for me. The Massachusetts Music Creators Forum is a very recent development in my life. I had thought for some time, starting back in the fall of 2024, that I would facilitate helping young musicians, whatever style they were, young music creators, composers, whether it was classical music, whether it was rock music, whether it was music for film, whether it was for rappers or whoever the music creator was, provide them with opportunities that are very difficult and challenging for young independent musicians today, i.e. young musicians are really struggling today to make a living in music and to make a career out of it. So I was inspired to create an organization, the Massachusetts Music Creators Forum, in which young people, we could provide assistance for young people to get their music, to share their music with the public, but also to get them to interact with one another, because composing music is a very solitary endeavor. You work in isolation, 90% of the time, and 10% of the time, if you're lucky, your music will get played in a performance ensemble. So I thought that would be a really great opportunity for young people, and I wanted to present that opportunity. So we had a meeting at the We had a meeting at the Plymouth Public Library in November, actually in January. The call went out in November, in January of 2025. And we had 3 people show up, and I was one of the 3. So it wasn't seeming like much would happen. However, the other one of the 3 people was a young lady named Yang Fan Tzu. And Yang Fan is an internationally known composer who was studying at the New England Conservatory. And we were all sharing our music, and I fell in love with her music. She fell in love with my music. And we then said, you know what, the best way to get a venue, to get the composers out there is create a concert. All I can say is that we're looking forward to continuing along and trying to get into larger venues, maybe in Boston, to see, to get a broader audience, to get some more traction, and perhaps get people recorded and get their music out there so more people can hear them and experience the talent that they have. Bearberry Path Music is a small, independent studio in which I produce several artists, including Rusty Stubblefield, a country guy. I produce E-Dude X, who is a very special performer that doesn't perform live. And the music that I produce in that studio is specifically geared for the platform of TikTok, because TikTok is gets you to a very broad audience, and also YouTube. But that's what primarily we do. We do arrangements for other composers. Our goal is not to monetize our music. Our goal is to produce fine music at very little cost, so that we can just share that music with other people who might enjoy it and have a need for it to advance their own goals, not certainly our goals. Music fulfills me in a way that brings joy to me, it brings peace to me, it brings focus to me, it brings energy to me, it brings a sense of completion to me, it brings a sense of bringing people together for me, and it brings a sense of humanity. It brings a sense of it brings a sense of a higher purpose. You know, there was a time when music was not commoditized. There was a time when music was made to elevate the human condition, to raise the spirits of people, to bring them closer to something sacred. But then over time, people started figuring out that you could make money doing it. So I try and stick to that fulfillment, which is spiritual for me, musically. It's a spiritually engaging process that far exceeds any profit motive that one would ever search for. So it fulfills me in a way that I get to create for that purpose, and not necessarily to make money and figure out that music is somewhat just a business. And I don't poo-poo the business, mind you. I encourage musicians to monetize what they do. It's just not for me. I have several things I could say in terms of advice for young musicians. One is master your craft. Focus on trying to be as proficient as you can possibly be in playing an instrument or multiple instruments. Second, I would say gain a deep appreciation for what you're listening to and all music that's out there, because there's so many opportunities to make music with so many different people, so many different ensembles, so many different groups, so many different venues, so many different places. So be very open about the music you listen to, and be very open to share your music with other people, because in sharing your music, you will only grow as a musician. And I think third, and probably most importantly, and I think I've talked about this a little bit, focus on the music itself. Focus on the inherent good that music contributes to humanity and the human spirit, and focus on how you can elevate the consciousness of society and raising the consciousness and the spiritual conditions in our world to make the world a better place.
If baseball is a sport your girl or boy loves or wants to learn more about, the Duxbury Recreation Baseball Clinic is a sure home run. Running July 14th through the 17th at the Tarkiln Baseball Field, kids ages 7 to 12 years old will have a ball developing their skills and spending time playing the game. The clinic runs from 9 to 11 each morning, and every participant will get a t-shirt. Now, what could be badder than that? The cost is $125, and you can sign up through the Town of Duxbury's website.
The 2025 free public tour series of historic Burial Hill season, hosted by the Plymouth Antiquarian Society and Pilgrim Hall Museum, is dedicated to honoring the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution. On Saturday, July 5th, the Revolutionary Connections Tour will be led by Dr. Donna Curtin, and the theme is James Thatcher's War. A surgeon in the Continental Army, James Thatcher kept a field war journal that captured a unique first-hand account of battles, daily life, and the effect of the war on citizens. When the war was over, he returned to Plymouth to practice medicine and lived to be 90 years old. This walking tour is free, requires no reservations, and meets at 1 p.m. at the top of Burial Hill. It will be about an hour long and includes steep hills, grassy slopes, and some uneven ground. Wear comfortable shoes and attire.
Here's Dave Antoine with an update on Duxbury Town government on the local scene.
As special town meeting drew near, the Duxbury Select Board were back at 878 Tremont Street, where one of its central agenda items was the discussion of the 10 articles on the June 16th town meeting warrant. The board took the articles out of order, with Articles 4 and 5 concerning citizens' petition articles to increase the FY26 budget for police and fire salaries. With the discussion that went on for nearly half an hour, various town stakeholders, from department heads to members from the Finance Committee, provided input on these articles. The board then circled back to the MBTA Communities Overlay District, an article at the top of the warrant, and essentially revisiting the November 2024 town meeting, an ongoing subject that has inspired considerable discussion throughout town with the MBTA Communities Working Group, an advisory committee with residents including members of the Planning Board, Select Board, and Zoning Board of Appeals. The group looks at the development of zoning bylaws for the MBTA community zoning laws. And speaking on behalf of the articles was Group Chair Steve Gant. Of all Select Board members chimed in on the article, given what's involved for the town with future state grants. Capping off the third article on the warrant, also featuring the Planning Board as sponsor, Article 3 looked at the amendment on amending zoning bylaws. Board Chair Wayne Dennison provided a brief history of the Commonwealth's passage of the Affordable Homes Act. This act came with a provision requiring an accessory dwelling unit, known as an ADU, that must be permitted as a right, indicating that there's no special process to be determined by a board if the changes can be made, known as the ADU bylaw. Moving on, the board revisited a May agenda item on FY27 budget planning, with a presentation provided by Mary McKinnon, Finance Director. Select Board Chair Brian Glennon discussed a list of what the board saw as priorities in regard to the future budget and what will be on the to-do list for Mary and Town Manager Rainey Reed. Areas proposed by Board Clerk Fernando Guitart for options and priorities to consider were regionalization, efficiency opportunities, and the fire, police, DPW, and schools. Having wrapped up their agenda just before 10 o'clock that night, the town of Duxbury is certainly prepared for their second town meeting of the year. This has been your Duxbury government on the local scene.
Brazilian soccer emphasizes creativity, flair, and individual skill more than the focus on organization, discipline, and teamwork we see in American soccer. On August 4th through the 8th, the Duxbury Recreation Center is offering Sizzle and Score, a Brazilian indoor soccer clinic for kids that will home in on the developing technical skills through cultural activities and build their passion for the game through mini tournaments and let them be free to have an outright ball. Coached by professional Brazilian soccer coaches, each participant will get an evaluation card customized to them at the end of the session. Sign up through the Duxbury Rec website for any of the following sessions. The cost is $240 for a full day from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for ages 9 to 14, and $200 for half-day clinics for ages 7 to 14 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Finally, for those exploring the world of soccer, your kiddos can sign up as a future star and attend from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. at a cost of just $20. The Timothy J. Steele Athletic Building in Duxbury is located at 130 St. George Street.
If you're a teen who has been feeling a little scrappy over your summer break, the Kingston Public Library offers a bi-weekly scrapbooking gathering just for you. On Tuesday, July 15th from 4 to 5 p.m., preserve your memories and favorite moments in a scrapbook journal or on paper you can display on your wall. Available for all to use will be paper, adhesives, photographs, stickers, and other fun materials. No registration required, just drop by the teen room and get scrapping. Next, Plymouth Poet Laureate Miriam O'Neill reads her original work at America's Hometown Laureates June Pairing event at Uva Wine Bar in Plymouth.
To the man I left in spring. You ask, what's changed? And though it's everything, I only have the heart to tell about the wall we're building to keep the sea from devouring more coastline. This strip of sand is home. This water cradles the ashes of our dead. And lately, the whole world seems like a beam-post beetle's hatched eggs devouring us from inside out. I read somewhere you found success designing homes, where inside walls can be moved or removed without the roof falling in, the way old barns were built, with room for the breath of horses. I read that people love your work. I thought of the cottage near the beach. I never got to see where summer marked your adolescent cells, salt-glazed, sun-struck, grit of sand beneath your feet on worn linoleum, and waves, always, even in dreams. It was for the best the way we left it, or let me say, I left. For months after, on days alone, I felt the crushed lilac shade of that parting, the sleight of hands as yours slipped out of mine. This spring, the willow lost its grip up on the bluff, condemned but unmoved, the neighbor's rotted cedar deck dangles above the beach. The bay glitters with right whales, spume some days. Hope is exhausting. This poem is coming out in the new issue of Lily Poetry Review, and I'm really happy about it. Sometimes you forget that you wrote a poem. It takes so long for it to come into print. And this one deals with language, languages, and how we use them to both tell the truth and hide the truth. In possession of family. All that spring and summer, you kept notes. This is what he said, what he did not say, what the doctors said about him, how his feet spoke beneath the sheet that last morning. In between practicing translation, you spent your ink to record his dying. In Italian, possessive nouns of place use articles. La mia casa, la mia stanza, the my house, the my room, though in English we don't say the. But in possession of family, we say mio fratello, my brother, No article of indication, just my. The bag of his papers in your guest room tells fairy tales, untruths. C'era una volta, once upon a time. Forms half filled out. How often do you consume alcohol? Only on weekends. Solenne fina settimana. And one day you wrote, his dying has sockets and keys, ways to unlock my heart if I can stand it. As if facing the door weren't hard enough. Forza means strength. Ho così poca forza. I have such little strength. The R rolls on the tongue. The Z stops the rolling. He liked to say, comme ci, comme ça, as if saying something bluesy or romantic. And though it was really gibberish, you knew he meant, it comes, it goes, this life, or more to the point, you lose again. Last night, so many months later, you heard his voice inside your sister's voice as she wept. The way you heard mountain snow melt gush in the Trevi as water rained on itself. A voice all waters share, submerged, subsumed, or flowing freely. His baritone inside her soprano. You had been learning to use the verbs to open and to feel, adding adjectives as you practiced we. You said, stasera apriamo tutte le finestre. Tonight, let's open all the windows. E sentiamo il bel vento, and feel the beautiful wind. And one more for you. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm supposed to be the one who's organized. End of May, because it really was just recently. End of May. 2 deer, their fawn a shiver in the long grass. 2 swans, their cygnets molt a small flotilla crossing the pond. Where the first green mention of water lily stems stand in mud under the shifting roof of clouds. And the crowd of black choke cherries, sheared of their blooms, bow along the fence. Down in Southfield, against the tender shafts of New Timothy, rain-stunned piccolo lucci hold back their luciferne for warmer days. Just 1 mile inland, we are all waiting out the nor'easter's last fulminations, while its winds, still winding up the valley, lay down lines of pollen. So every wicker foot and potted plant is streaked with gold, until it's as if we live inside a kintsugi vessel, as if yesterday was too much perfection in our way, as if to say, again, you must change your life.
Is tennis your kid's racket? This summer, July 8th through 31st, Duxbury Recreation would like to court you with fun, low-key tennis lessons offered to girls and boys at all skill levels, from beginner to advanced. Happening Tuesdays and Thursdays at Wadsworth Tennis Courts from 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., kids will learn the basics of the game or improve and build on the skills they already have. Beginner classes are from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., intermediate from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and advanced classes are from 11 a.m. till noon. Kids should bring their own racket, a drink, and be sure to apply the sunscreen beforehand. The cost is $125, and you can register through the Town of Duxbury's website.
Summer is beer, and 'tis the season for the Mayflower Beer Garden to be brewin' at the Pine Hills. The Pine Hills Village Green has partnered with this local brewery to host weekend beer gardens throughout the summer that will include a beautiful schedule of food trucks, live music, local artists, business pop-up shops, and more. In addition to Mayflower Brewing Company keeping their award-winning beers and hard seltzers flowing, you can bring a picnic, get some tasty treats from the food trucks that will be rolling up, or order to go from one of your favorite eateries such as Mamma Mia's, The Market, The Blueberry Muffin, Stuzzy Cafe and Sweet Shop, and more. The Mayflower Beer Garden happens every Saturday and Sunday and on holiday Fridays and Mondays through early October.
At a visual inverse event at the Plymouth Center for the Arts, Joyce Wilson read her original poetry.
My name is Joyce Wilson. I'm the last reader, but I'm reminded of the saying that one day the first shall be last and the last shall be first. I was inspired by this photograph by Robert Leela, who's over here, whom I just met. And I love the quality of blacks and whites and the sense of sky. And I wanted to connect, I feel this really connects me with Plymouth. I live in Situate, but this connects me with Plymouth. Pilgrims at rest. In the photograph, the monotones express a harmony of light, dramatic hues smoldering in black and white and gray. That brief moment when afternoon sunlight appears through sudden openings in clouds to usher in a prelude to the night. The gravestones stand upright in the textured ground, their shaded backs against us, difficult to read the portents in their darkened backs. Their sunlit sides bear the inscriptions, proud with proper names and dates, some sacred phrases, some inscrutable in the weather's wear. Their faces turned away from us, we trace their gaze and find the cloudy breast of sky, its downy feathers ruffled up in hues of gray on gray or white on white, like plumage heaving, the exertion of its wings almost something we can touch, a warmth. These ordered stones maintain communal bonds, our forebears now at rest, their spirits wrapped up in an eternal paradise. But what of us? We breathe in as we look, and then a shard of bright illuminance enters us, and we are sorely changed. Thank you very much. And I just want to add that the organization that went into this, the booklet, the program, all of it was just tremendous. And I am in awe and admiration of Miriam and others who worked on this. Thank you.
Are you looking to branch out on summer activities for your kids aged 3 and up? Join a Mass Audubon educator at the Manomet branch of the Plymouth Public Library for a fun science session designed to spark curiosity and encourage exploration in the amazing natural world around us. The theme for Summer Science with Tidmarsh on Wednesday, July 9th will be Terrific Trees. They'll learn more about the incredible variety of trees native to Massachusetts and then get creative by making their own leaf rubbings or pressed leaf art to take home. This event runs from 10 a.m. to noon and was made possible by the America the Beautiful initiative. Register through the Mass Audubon website.
Next up is poet Jen Pipp in a reading of her work at an America's Hometown Laureates Tiny Poetry event.
Jen Pipp is up next, please.
Hello, everybody. Very grateful for this shared moment, for everyone in this room and beyond. Yeah, I have 3 pocket poems, no format known beyond that, and a longer poem that has the word tiny in it. So, I know, right? There you go. We're winning. I'm not going to say much more. The first poem is called Touch. Haven't been writing much, the pen is out of touch, the sky is out of ink, wonder what you think. Time ran out of sky, only you know why, except you are me and everything I see. For now is later, master contemplate. First things first, find my son, nothing has been undone. I read that out of rhythm, but anyway, that happens. Okay, on to the next one. I guess I'm a little out of touch. The knowing. The knowing is flowing, tainting last painting, still but not shrill, empty yet fill. So we let go, unknowing we know. Beginning meets end, forever best friend. Sweet became sour, another new hour. Until next time, forever still mine. And then we have outside. Perhaps you can't imagine, I don't dream your dream. The ad script never took root, so I subtract. Desires from nuclear culture, castles and kingdoms, rules and fake bridges, slide away, melting butter, no dish. People clamor, looking for sustenance, seeds under the pavement ready, the force of time no longer shy. And then we have Bang. You know, for me, poetry is kind of like rituals, and there are certain poems that, you know, others have written or that I have written that shift. You know, all poetry does that, but some does it more than others, and I find that this one always leaves me in a little bit of a better place. So, hoping that this does that for you all. We were all once smaller and smaller and smaller. We were once so small that we were almost nothing at all. Tiny pieces of life, barely just there. If you flash backward, is there ever nothing? Does that make more sense than always something alive, making something alive, even if it was tiny? Back when there was only bacteria, only plants, only atmosphere, only electricity, only not only knows how the universe folds, how time weaves, how to spark, think, feel, and see. We don't ask, we just believe the rich 3D renderings of the universe bagging into existence. Back to Earth, year 2022, I am 42, oops, 43. Either way, somewhere in between the very beginning and infinity. Over the last year, it struck me that it has become more and more clear I will not pull a thread of DNA from my strand and pass it into someone else's hand. How narrowly we are defining the distribution of DNA. Family line, the race, the region. What happens if I survive, but we don't? In this global age, the DNA of Earth is my parameter. The mother web, that is my lineage. The end. But bang, here it is again. So see, was the bang really the beginning? It's a hard concept to swallow. You best gulp it down. Bang, and we get a second chance, a third chance. It's hard to know how long this has been happening. How long has the universe been banging? Are we in the middle of an infinite cycle? Misting the twisting, spinning of the planet, pushing the stars around the globe with our heads tucked deep into our little houses. Are wires tied together like the shoestrings of thrifty strangers sending signals around the earthen dome? Bang, the seas are rolling as our feet touch the ground again. We know that people have come before and will come after. Children drag sticks behind them as they trace the edges of the universe. Townspeople gather around the fire and look for messages in the sparks. Little is said because words are no longer necessary. We sing the song of the story of the land, which is the story of the universe. We learned it from the whales the year we learned to listen. That was the year we untied the wires. That was the year we learned to dream.
Come for the stories, stay for the folding fun at Pembroke Public Library on Tuesday, July 15th. Parents' Choice Award-winning storyteller Motoko will be in the meeting room sharing enchanting folktales from her native Japan the whole family will enjoy. After the stories, kids can dive into hands-on origami activities guided by Motoko's easy, step-by-step instructions that make this traditional Japanese art form fun and accessible. This event is ideal for children ages 5 to 10, but all ages are welcome. No registration required, just drop in and enjoy the magic of folding and making paper come alive. The event starts at 1 p.m. and will be about an hour long.
On Saturday, July 12th, the Plymouth Antiquarian Society invites you to come and feast on a traditional New England breakfast in one of Plymouth's oldest surviving houses, the Harlow Old Fort House, built in 1677. You'll enjoy breaking fast while listening to period singers performing 17th century folk songs and hymns. Reservations are recommended. Visit the Plymouth Antiquarian's website or call 508-746-0012 to purchase your tickets and choose your time of arrival, 8:30, 9, 9:30, 10, or 10:30 a.m. The cost is $18 per person or $13 for members. The Harlow Old Fort House is at 119 Sandwich Street in Plymouth.
The Duxbury Recreation Department is offering multiple weeks of a STEM Play specialty program for kids ages 7 through 12 throughout the month of July. Each week will be a different theme with related activities. The week of July 7th will be animals, with an arts and crafts focus during the week of July 14th, and the topic of the final week of July 21st will be engineering design challenges. From 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day, kids can look forward to doing Lego robotics, coding activities, science investigations, arts and crafts, group activities, snacks, and outdoor play, as well as periods of free choice activity throughout the day. Register your child through Duxbury Recreation on the Town of Duxbury's website. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of The Local Scene this week. Thank you for watching.
If you live or work in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, or Duxbury and would like to have your own show or podcast, you should. Email community@thelocalscene.media to find out about our free production services and training for community members.
And if you have a story or event you'd like people to know about, email us at story@thelocalscene.media.
And we thank our patrons, Tiny & Sons, Quintal Brothers, and Squinty's Pizza, for supporting our mission of community in action through media.
We'll be back next week with more of what's good and good to know in our area. Until then, we'll see you on The Local Scene. Hello, friend. If you enjoyed this video, please think about scanning the QR code and making a contribution to The Local Scene. Every dollar is appreciated, and your support helps keep community media alive and our resources free to the community. We'll see you on The Local Scene.